We are the Front Three Podcast. I'm Big Will. We've got Coach Dan and the prodigy himself, AJ. Fellas, how are we doing?
I'm well, guys. As always, sitting down talking football, and especially this conversation that we're about to have. There might be a few surprises in store for people. I don't know. We'll see.
You never felt a surprise, Coach.
But before we go anywhere, guys, I have a few things to ask. Don't ask for much in life. But I would love for you guys to comment, share, like, and subscribe this very episode. For all our guys on Twitter, guys, tweet us in with your reactions, with all your views. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know if we're catching your attention, and let us know whether you agree with what we're about to talk about, because it's a very, it's a bit of a deep topic for certain select fans. Do you know what I'm saying? My club, we good over here. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
I love it. So in this episode, well, guys, let's just get straight to the breaking news this week. So Manchester City been fined or charged by the Premier League. I think we're talking over 100 charges of breaking financial rules, going all the way back to 2009. I mean, this is perhaps the biggest story this season, not just in the Premier League, but in Europe. So what was your immediate reaction, Coach, to the news of Man City breaking all those financial rules, apparently or allegedly?
They're wasting my time. You asked for my initial reaction. They're wasting my time. And in fact, I would like to report fraud. I think Manchester City have been victims of fraud.
Wow.
Not the other way around. I think Manchester City are the ones who have been victims of fraud. So they were wasting my time, guys. That was my initial reaction.
Interesting. Wow. I don't even know. I did ask for your initial reaction.
You did ask for my initial reaction.
Mine was just wow, criminal activity. Do you know why? Because do you know what threw me off? So yesterday I was watching a video, right? And the reporter must have been like to Pep, basically asked questions of, so have you been receiving money on the side? And then he was like, how can you ask me such questions? Why
does Pep sound African?
His reaction was so African, it was so funny. But then, when he explained his point, I was like, wow, for the reporter to ask him that, it's so disrespectful.
Are you referring to sort of when they asked him about Mancini?
Yeah.
That was a few years back, actually. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, and I was like, that's so disrespectful. How can you ask Pep? And he was kind of like, it's me. Whatever happened with Rebel, I don't know, so I don't care. But to ask me such a question. And so my initial reaction was criminal activity, number one. But number two, my thing was, what's Pep's stance on this? Will he leave if it's proven? If they get
that's what he said though in previous interviews.
But really and truly, will he? Because look,
wouldn't that depend on what actually happens?
Let's call a spade, right? All these clubs that are owned by these big guys, I'm not going to mention names, right? They all dabble in this type of stuff. They all try to balance the books in certain ways to make things look prettier than what they are. It happens at most clubs. It's the truth. Where these sums of money are involved and how these clubs are run, these things always happen. Now, my question is this just going to be something that they're going to be like, yeah, and they're going to fine them, or is money going to talk in this again? And why do I say that? Reason why I say this is because of this. Let's say now this goes to court. Will the Prem have the money to get better lawyers than the money that City will put up to get better lawyers? It's money against money again. I tell you what for free. City will get the better lawyers. And then this probably turned into a thing whereby it's, blah, 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 over 100 charges. Oh, one by one, all the charges will be whittled off. Then we give them a massive fine or something, and then everyone will just move on with their lives.
But I think establishing what these charges are for is important. Of course, there's over 100 of them. But I think mainly what they're being charged for is the fact that, they didn't comply when they were carrying out investigations.
Yeah.
Let me hold you there. But then what did City's statement come out and say? We're surprised.
But are they surprised given that this is a full-year investigation by the Premier League?
But then for City to say we're surprised...
Is that just PR talk, really?
Well, of course it will be.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that probably they both walked away thinking we've satisfied what we needed to do, and now you've come back at us with this. Which is, again, do they, before they release a statement to the masses, do they send a private email to City that we're about to do this, or they just throwing it out there? So they've seen it the same time as we have. look, guys, the reason why I say this thing is wasting my time is because, look, the assumption, right, behind this is that they've not cooperated with them when they were investigating sort of like how money's been handled and everything like this. But so think of it this way, right? With financial fair play, because that's where more or less this thing stems from, right? Where big sums of cash are.
Yeah.
I think as a term in itself, I disagree with. Because there is no financial fair play in football.
Simple.
Period. There is
But
no
this
financial...
is more to do with financial rules, though, isn't
No,
it?
but okay, but I suppose I want to start from like the genesis of this whole thing, right? Is that bringing in financial fair play, right, tries to limit or put some sort of like barriers on a country spending money. This because you made a big comment, right? As in, can the Premier League really go up against the amount of money that C is a country? They've got a backing of a country, so you got a Premier League against a country, they won't win. That's why it's a waste of time. And also, just the fact that with financial fair play, there is no such thing as financial fair play. And so you cannot then get justice when it comes to these kinds of things. And usually, how have these lot been punished? How have they been punished? By fines of money.
Yeah, with the CAS one and financial fair play.
If you find a team who has been in breach of spending too much money, you find them money, what are you trying to say to them? So basically, you've overspent, and so we're going to charge you for that. They'll give you more money, which then plays into the fact that they've overspent.
Yeah.
You get the idea? So to me, it's just nonsense. That's the first thing. And second thing, let's think about why Manchester City might want to hide money or whatever. Maybe I've said something I shouldn't have, but I've said it anyway, right? Why they would have wanted to do that. Think of it this way. And it's weird because this goes into sort of like the way the English league is being viewed as in what has just transpired with this transfer window. And I don't think it's a fair assessment when you look at the Premier League and it's like, oh, the Premier League is this and this and that. I think naturally teams around know the kind of money that Manchester City has or other clubs within the EPL, and every player that they go after, they're going after them and they're being charged inflated rates, right?
Yeah.
And so City, just think of it this way, right? You identify at the beginning of the season the players you want. And Pep Guardiola is a manager that he goes and gets who he wants. So you've identified who you want. And then when you go for the player, because another club is going after them, right, they will give you 3 times the price that they're probably trying to sell to, I don't know, Barcelona. You've got to do what you got to do to bring in your players. These top clubs, the reason they're successful is because they identify the number one target and they go after them. If that is KDB, that's KDB. If that's Haaland, they go for Haaland. No one can tell me in the world of football, City are the only ones that are guilty of this. I think many clubs...
Even worse. That's why they got
I think many clubs, if you go and investigate them, you'll find there's been a document that's gone missing
100%.
suspiciously somehow, and all these kinds of stuff. 100 is very bad.
But this is unprecedented, really, 100.
It is very
in English
bad.
football, yeah. But in Italy, oh, come on. If we were to put out the dossier in Italy, it's wild.
What, I mean...
So it happens all over.
When this thing came out as well, there was like the chairman of the La Liga, I think Tiberius or whatever his name is, or Tebas, so I forgot his name anyway. But he was making a comment that, just basically trying to shame Manchester City. And I was thinking, we've had Barcelona tell us they have no money.
Somehow.
We've had them cut wages. And they're spending money left, right, and center. We don't know where the money's come from. You need to explain what your team is doing more so than we do.
Yeah.
It's just
I think it's like I was saying, right? I think the teams across Europe look at the Premier League and it seems like a soft spot to hit. And so they overcharge them. And so these clubs are having to do what they have to do to bring in their first targets, right? And
But it doesn't make it right, though. I know you're saying, well, everyone's doing it, so that...
No, I'm not saying everyone's doing it. I've never mentioned everyone's doing it. I'm saying, especially so the English clubs are being forced to do this kind of thing. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying
But that's just the market, demand and supply.
Exactly.
it's a culture.
And the point is, if you're going to charge Liverpool, I will say, in fact, look into also what Nottingham Forest. Come on, Nottingham Forest. Look at what Nottingham Forest is doing. Because think of it this way, guys. Think of it this way. You think, Nottingham Forest, the amount of players they've signed, the amount they've invested in, you think they're going to make more this season than what they've spent?
Of course not.
Of course not.
Yeah.
So maybe it might be these little back ways that they try and go. They'll spread it across a certain amount of years to sort of like balance it and whatnot. If they get relegated this year, it doesn't look like it, but if they do, or if they do next year, investigations have to go through in all of these things. I think overall, leave City alone because you're going to lose the battle, which will make the Premier League look bad, right? It'll make them look bad. But I get why most teams or majority of the EPL want to go after them. They want to go after them. And there's this talk about maybe stripping them of their titles.
Not relegating them. Guys,
me
Man
say
City will
something.
buy the Prem. It will shock everyone.
Money aside, yes, they might have paid inflated prices to get certain players in. But no one can sit here, yeah, with sincerity, look me in my bare face and tell me, yeah, the reason City won their titles was because of them cheating or anything like that. It's far from that. They got the best players. And on top of that, they had the best managers
But
at
did
the
they
time.
get the best players because of their cheating? And if they were cheating,
basically
would
what you're
they get
saying
an
here, what you're
unfair
saying here, the
advantage?
rich shouldn't spend their money. That's what you're saying.
No.
Listen, if I have money and I can spend it and you don't have money, that's you and your household's problem.
But they,
you need to sort that in your house.
they broke over 100 rules, financial rules.
And don't get me twisted, yeah?
There's no
Because I don't want anyone
smoke
to get me
without
wrong.
fire, right?
I
As
think
they say.
whatever punishment, okay, that comes their way, they need to
deserve
face it. But my point is this.
Okay, coach.
If they go blow
if
to...
it's found that they have broken these rules, would you then switch your argument and say that this is no longer fraud? That Man City are being
No,
targeted?
I think they're the victims of fraud.
But what if it turns out that
I think
they
they're actually the victims of fraud. So that's a thought for food. That's a thought for food.
It's interesting.
Because guys, what do you call it, yeah? When a club like Manchester City have to pay 3 times the price in wages or in transfer fees for players that will go to other clubs for pittance. Take what's his name? Traore last season. I think
But
Tottenham
do
were
they
going to
have
offer
to
him.
pay that? They can walk away by someone else.
But
They're not by force. It's not by
it's not by force. It's not by force. You're correct. And it's not justification for them as such, but I'm just making the point that if we go by the standards that perhaps City are being held at, yeah, maybe a lot of clubs can be caught out as well. Maybe it won't be at the extent that
Of
City
City,
are,
but
you'll be fined out for not doing something. And this is the point I was making earlier on, that financial fair play, there's no such thing. Because do you know, yeah, money speaks louder than justice. 70% of Manchester City's revenue, yeah, is much more than 70% of even Arsenal's revenue, or Nottingham Forest, or Bournemouth, right? So that's why there can never be a financial fair play. It just doesn't exist. And if you really want to catch these things out, yeah, how about this? When you lay out financial fair play, yeah, also lay out the troubles that teams could get into if they're found to do this and this and that.
The consequences.
Exactly, the consequence. Don't then, yeah, as it happens, then you think up a punishment for them. How about this? If you're found to have breached this and this, you will get 15 points deducted. When it happens, you deduct 15 points. Don't wait for things to happen and then you're trying to create ways to punish them. Listen, they'll give money to someone and we'll be okay, man.
All the books have been cooked, mate.
Come the end of February. We'll be fine. Come the end of February, we'll be fine.
Fair enough. And then just one last point on this, AJ. How would this affect the players on the pitch? The manager, would it give them that siege mentality throughout the season? Or would it give that air of
This is noise.
uncertainty?
This is hot air, bro. When I step on that training pitch, I'm not thinking about this. Do you know what I mean? Of course, when you step on the pitch on a Saturday or whatever, you cross the white line and fans are chatting about it, you just be like, okay. But truthfully, look, as long as I have my job, I'm fine. As long as my contracts are secured, I'm fine. The rest of the stuff has nothing to do with me. Do you know what I'm saying? So as a player, I don't think it'll give anything. Maybe for Pep, it might be some form of motivation in terms of, other teams saying that if they're found out to be thinking they should be expelled from a league. Maybe for Pep, on a managerial basis, he might use that as a motivational tool.
Nonsense.
But you can't even let that, because every player, every club knows that clubs do it. Like, bro, it's a culture. You can't kill it. You can't eradicate
Look at these bonuses that these players are on. They have to hide something.
Bro,
I'm telling you, your beautiful club, Arsenal Football Club, they hide something too.
Do you know what? And I'm just going to say this. So when Juve, before their 15 points, they were being investigated. But the guy who came over to Tottenham, I forgot his name. Yeah, he knew there was an investigation going on at Juve, and Tottenham knew, and they still hired him. So if that doesn't set alarm in your head, saying, "Oh, maybe X, Y, Z is good, why are we hiring this guy? We don't want to hire him." But no, they still hired him. So the clubs know the books are being cooked.
Yes.
There's a game being played in the world of football,
Yeah, man.
that the people that are in the picture, they know how it works.
100%.
They know. I think naturally what the FA are trying to sort of stamp out is that they want to be in charge of how things are run. Right now, there's too much power for these clubs, agents, and...
Well, I think that's why the government is proposing an independent regulator for domestic football. But just quickly then, let's talk about Chelsea. They spent over 300 million in this past January transfer window.
The big bucks. Wow.
Is it good for football? Is it good for European football? We've got people, journalists, European journalists are saying, they're, spoiling football with the amount of money they're spending.
I mean, look, if you've got it and you can be smart with the accounting, then why not
giving
do
8-9 year contracts.
8-9 year contracts.
If you got it, flaunt it.
8 year 9 contract.
Flaunt it.
And it's just smart. I said this off air and I'll say it on air. My Americans, if you disagree with this, let me know. But Americans always do something extravagant. Like they always do it. It's in their DNA. They love it. You know what I mean? You guys don't throw normal parties. Your drinks are not normal size. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when Todd coming in, I knew he was going to do something crazy. I didn't know he'd do something crazy like this. But at the end of the day, it's not like he's gone out and thrown money at it and been like, boom, and I'm paying. No, the accountant has actually been very smart. They're giving long contracts to young, promising players who have crazy ability.
What happens though if those players don't work out?
Well, they're still young enough for you to move on. It's his business.
But then given the wages that they're probably on, given the contract sizes, if they don't work out, are they just going to be riding the bench or they're just going to continually go on loan?
It'll be probably... Look, I look at it like this, right? The pool of talent they've been signing are so young that even if it doesn't work, there's an ability to move them on. And as a young player, and this is where it comes into questions about your ambition and stuff. As a young player, if you just signed for Chelsea on big money and over the next 2-3 years, you're not playing and stuff, and you want to move on, then you've got to make a decision in regards to your career and what you're looking for. You can either ride the bench and earn your big money, or you can go out there and make a name for yourself and play the game you love and enjoy for maybe less money. That there is just down to you. That's just between you and yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, as a player, you've got to be thinking about these things. For Chelsea as a football club, it's a business. We've seen what they do with these things. Yeah. They still got like 30 players out on loan. Do you understand? They've still got players on their books that you're just like, huh? This guy's, you don't even know, like, do you know what I'm saying? So for Chelsea, it's business. They need to do what they need to do to start moving up the table, start winning the big things. So for them, it's business. Player side, that's you and your conscience and why you're doing what you're doing. So for me, Chelsea don't care about that aspect. You as a player, you have to care about that aspect.
Well, a few things, right? I think first thing, this thing has been blown out of proportion. I get it, maybe because it happened in January. But how is this any different from when Abramovich first stepped in? The transfer fees are inflated, of course.
Yeah, because
but what's different from when Abramovich stepped in? They went and bought all the players that they wanted to, and Jose Mourinho saw them to a few titles, right? It's nothing different from what this guy is doing. I get it. Instead of 90 million, Jose Mourinho going for 40 million, let's say. But now it's 90 million. That's the only difference. And do you know one thing I've never...
But I feel like I see where you're coming from. But back then, Abramovich, when they bought players, it wasn't for necessarily huge... So they weren't breaking transfer records in Britain when they were buying Robin, Drogba, etc. So buying a significant amount of players. However, in this case, with Enzo, Fernandez and Modric...
But it's only Enzo. It's only Enzo. Right? And of course, I think, look, I'm not saying the prices that they pay for the players are right. But okay, also think of it this way, right? Also think of it this way. So they say that the English Premier League are spoiling football or whatever term you use. These money that they're paying, where is it going? It's not in England. It's going across Europe. So when you think about it, you're not making money. If they're smart, what they should do is just shut up and take the money. They're taking English money. What are they complaining about?
The Modric deal, the chairman was like, yo, listen, we're stepping this money on because this money is going to do bits. Yeah, because the country is war-torn, right? Yeah. So he actually came out and said that. So he was like, whoever pays the money, he has to go. So the brother's choice was Arsenal. Facts. We all knew that. Guy did everything to come. He was flirting with us like some shameless person. Yeah. But when it came to the money, who's going to stump up the fee? It was Chelsea. So they told him, bro, you're gone. Like, it wasn't even like, we need the money. But see, so you're right in saying that. The money...
Even you saying that, AJ, yeah, because the CEO of Shakhtar also came and said, in fact, Arsenal matched it as well. So the question you asked, right, because we're just talking about, Manchester City and the predicament they're in. And I was saying to you, there's a game being played in football, yeah, that agents and the footballers know, and they play as well. Think about it. This guy flirted with Arsenal. People say he twerked on Arsenal, yeah? And then Chelsea come in, and what does he do? He goes, And the CEO said, yeah, Arsenal more or less paid offered the same price.
yeah.
So why do you think he went to Chelsea?
But I think the Arsenal deal.
Simple. Why do you think he went to Chelsea? Because of money.
Bigger
A lot of the
wages.
money, we're not seeing them. A lot of them will go to the agent. A lot of them will pay for it. We don't see it. And the paperwork will get lost somewhere, right? The secretary forgot and took it home and just the child done homework on it and then it's gone.
I guess
go on. Just quick, then you can come in. And so that also plays in part to it. One thing I've never seen, right? I've never seen a fan base complain that your team is spending so much money. No fan base ever does that. With Chelsea spending everyone, have you heard any Chelsea fans? They're quiet because they want to see they're the ones that are spending money and their team is getting better and they have these players coming in. So I think every fan jumping on these Chelsea is because we hate seeing a team doing what we fail to do. That's all it is. It's like if you're a poor person, you see a rich person just always buying a new Lamborghini, you're like, me, I can't even get common. I can't get myself, common pizza and you all the time this and this.
Man.
That's what it looks like.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the uproar was from Arsenal fans who'd been beaten. And I think the thing with the Mudryk there was that Arsenal wanted to instill Mudryk. Chelsea said, listen, we'll come with a big, nice upfront.
Nah, but I think from Arsenal fans and I think some other fans, it just felt like Chelsea didn't really have a transfer strategy. They just saw that Arsenal were after X player. So let's just also go for
Real Madrid were like that a few years ago.
So, I mean, I'm saying that's what the Arsenal
Yeah,
fans
but I
were
get
saying.
it. I'm an Arsenal fan, I get it. But I've also got to look at it from business. Like, listen, Chelsea, one thing I always used to say, yeah, when Arsenal used to make bad signings, one thing I used to be like, how come no other top club is after this player? That was always my yardstick. Because I'm like, if this guy is so good, why is no one else coming in for him? Why is no one else bidding for him? It means that maybe this guy isn't as good as what we think.
Maybe.
So,
maybe.
I don't know.
And then finally, coach.
Yeah, my final thought on this whole thing, right? So the initial question is it good for the EPL?
Yeah, and then also tell us as well, would it actually help Chelsea?
Okay, so
what difference are these players going to make?
Is it good for the EPL, yeah? And it's a two-part answer. I think it's a good thing having top quality come into the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always a good thing. Having Enzo in your midfield, this guy, if he actually reaches his potential, will never be a bad thing, right? So it's a good thing for Chelsea. The bad thing is the fact that they're paying overinflated fees for these players. None of these players are worth what they are worth.
100%.
And so, what did the CEO of Shakhtar said? He said, right,
if they don't match...
if Jack Grealish is 100 million,
Yeah.
I'm selling this guy for 100 million.
Yeah.
That's what he said. If Jack Grealish and these guys are going for that fee, I'm going to sell my player for that.
That means you don't rate
so-
Jack Grealish.
So, but what's that trying to tell you? They're playing a game. If you think here, based on what this guy's produced, you're selling for 100 million, I'll sell you my one for 100 million also. And so that's the bad side of it, right? Because everyone is going to come
against that yardstick.
They're going to sell, exactly.
Yeah.
They're going to be selling.
That's why Anthony was sold for that amount of money.
Exactly.
for
Which is
example.
ridiculous for a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
And this is one thing here that blows
stop
my mind. The whole of Europe is complaining, but this money is going into Europe. I don't
But it's just not
understand.
going to Barcelona and Real Madrid. That's why.
And that's why they're complaining.
The guys
But
who
see-
want to start the Super
But see,
League.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. The reason why teams like Barcelona and them lot, they won't go and do this in January because they don't really need to spend that much in order to do anything in their league. Think about it. Does Bayern Munich ever have to spend this amount of money? They
Never,
don't need to.
no.
Does Barcelona and Real Madrid really in January? They don't need to because more or less they established this time of the season. Chelsea are in poor state of affairs right now, so they need to invest like they have. In the Champions League, this won't have much of a difference because only Modric, Enzo, and João Felix are able to play in there,
Registered,
or
yeah.
they've registered to play.
Yeah.
And so, it can't be for the Champions League because they've got to do with what they can with the Champions League. But in the league, they need to start climbing up the table, and you do what you need to do when you have money to get to where you want to get to.
For sure. So if you agree or disagree on our views regarding Chelsea and their spending, is it bad for football? And Manchester City, are they really the victims, as Coach Dan?
They're the victims of fraud.
Listen, money talks. Whether you like it or not, money talks in every language.
Definitely
It talks.
In football, it's louder than justice, guys. Trust me. They'll pay someone and business will
Football,
be just
and
settled.
one thing I've learned, football has no morals. I'm done.
At least the front three do anyway.
Hey.
All right, that does it for another
That was good.
episode of The Front Three. Tune in next time for another episode.
There's only three wise men.